Oh, hello. I don't know, I'm the only one here, so it's kind of funny, but... Okay, I'll invite him to speak.
Why'd you ban me as...
Oh yeah, no, it was all part of the plan, don't worry. I gotta find...
plan? Okay.
Oh, he's requesting to speak, don't worry. There we go.
Oh yeah, we're here.
Hello!
What's up, guys? It's been a while.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I gotta remove the ability to make polls, hold on. I forgot to remove that.
This is like watching a stream chat.
Yeah, I know.
We were double checking everything just before this started, making sure that everything was ready to go. But we're bound to make mistakes. We're human.
Yeah, it's all good. But I don't know if I accidentally pinged everybody, but I don't know. I just started the event. I don't know if it pinged everyone, but
I definitely had a notification on my phone just now.
okay, well, I'm sorry
request.
if I pinged everyone. I didn't mean a double ping. I don't know. I don't know how events work very well. Oops.
It's a learning process.
Triple thing.
Don't worry.
Just throw an extra one out there. Let everybody know.
Right. So hey everyone, thanks for joining. This has been a long time in making. As you know, we've not really done any Discord stage stuff regarding Crazyblox games in a while, but we thought, what better opportunity to do it than as we bring on our new team members, Cool Zach and Short Round Zach, developers of FE2, and bring our thoughts to the table with regards to the questions that you've asked. Now, we did open the form, and we got lots of responses. It was quite positive, the amount we got. We believe we've got a list that is informative and has a lot of value in how we can answer it. And so these questions will range from things like game design to plans for the future, and I think there's going to be quite a few obvious questions in here as well. So, happy to look through them and answer them. And depending on which area the question is relating to, we will take it in individual turns in answering it, and I'll pass it to Kozak or Short Round. So, I suppose the first thing before we get into the questions is like, how do you guys feel with being part of like the development team?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. I think I was already kind of like teetering on the edge of being on the development team, anyways, because I was like doing the highlights and such, and like doing all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, it's helping you a lot with like random game related stuff already too. So like, it's not like a huge step for me, but it is really nice being able to like control like specifically the content in the game, because that's always been kind of like I've always focused on that kind of aspect of the game, like ever since I've been playing. So it's really cool actually being a part of the game now too. I think that's really awesome. So
yeah, that's true. You have been responsible for curating the highlights over the past while, which has kind of had your foot in the door for a bit, and we've discussed a lot of discussion even before development rather, before you came on the team. So it definitely has been a bit of a natural evolution for you. So having you on board for the content, it's going to be really cool. In fact, I can share that Kozak and Short Round have fixed so many bugs with the game that have persisted over a long while, because they're so passionate about it, and they've absolutely been doing great work, and I think you guys are really going to see that in the coming time. But yeah, let's go to Short Round. How about you? You've been the developer, and obviously you've made stuff for the game before, like Poisonous Chasm and stuff.
So tell me, Springs, Industrial Marsh.
Yeah.
Shut your ass up.
What was the question again?
How's it feeling? How's it feel to be
Forgets the question
on the team?
How's it feel to be on the team?
How do you settle in?
I mean, it's a lot to take in, familiarize yourself with everything, but it's been pretty fun learning how the game works, and I'm really glad I can give back in this way, like, being in the community and meeting all my friends here. Like I said in my onboarding message, really,
Of course, yeah. You get to witness all the amazing coding practices I've had over the years because I've not really shared the code of FE2 with anyone else. So that was a bit of a big moment for me. I've always been a solo developer, so this is opening up and inviting you guys on board is a big thing, not just for the game but for me philosophically as well. So it's been amazing, and I couldn't have thought of any other folks to take on the roles that you guys have now, and I'm glad to have you on board.
I'm glad to be here too.
Hell yeah.
Also, I love finding the random comments that just say LOL.
LOL, yeah, true. And it's just you can see which parts of the code were made in like 2017 or 18 and which one's more modern because you can just tell how much more jank is in there. But that's been part of the cleanup. We've part of the next update we've been refactoring some of the code. Especially did that before bringing these guys on, just so I wanted to let them have as good of a space as possible to work in without having to deal with my work. So yeah, I suppose with that said, we should go ahead and ask some questions, or rather answer them. It's not our job to ask them; it's our job to answer. So
yeah, we already had them. We
we're
already
going to start with the first one.
Let's flip the script.
So for the form, we had two options. Obviously, like we allowed people to pick their username and their question. We will just have to take the form's information at face value. So if it is you that asked this question, cool. If it's not, don't worry, we won't assume. But Ryal Burn asks, FE2 campaign mode. Now, this is a very open-ended question. This is one that can be answered in various ways because it involves a lot of potential developments. But ultimately, I don't think it's on the table for us right now. There's so much fundamentally with FE2 that needs taking care of and improving that I think we would be better off improving the core experience. Though I suppose I could relate to this question with as far back as FE1 with story mode. If anyone's been around a long time, they know that I've tried to make efforts putting story mode in, and truthfully, it's been I suppose the word is it's humbled me, I guess, about the scope required to create projects like this. If there's a campaign mode, you can definitely be assured that every mission's got its own content, its own characters, its own voices, its own levels, and everything is unique. And with other games and campaigns, you tend to not revisit other areas unless it's an open world. But if it's linear, which is how FE2's done its content, that's quite a tall order. And I don't know what you guys would have to say about the idea of your thoughts on campaigns. I mean, it definitely has its place in other games for sure, and is the medium for like just a really good story. But I think for FE2, probably not for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a bit too shoehorned in as well. Like it would kind of be like it'd be retrofitting it in rather than it being like its whole own thing. I do think it's a really cool idea.Maybe like for something else, but like I don't know about FE2 just because like I think it's better that there's like the lore kind of sprinkled into the maps and such that people can find and come to their own conclusion rather than it being handed them to them on a silver plate. I think that's kind of what I think of it. But I do like the idea of a story mode, but I just think it'd be too shoehorned in for like the scope of this game.
Yeah, I mean, throwing in little Easter eggs, like you said. I mean, think Poisonous Valley, for example, at the start, or like behind the waterfall, you can like see his interpretation of the guide, like poisoning the water and stuff like that. Just fun little bits of that.
Yeah, we like to put little. I mean, it's been present from map makers who've done community maps and highlights, and permanent maps as well. It's cool to have these little bits of information just dotted around all these maps that give an insight to what a character could be doing or how they're behaving, what are they up to. And we love the ability to do that because not only does it invite the community to speculate on what the world is like, but it's also easier to. There's more potential really to have these self-contained stories within maps rather than connecting everything together, and that's a really important point to make. So yeah, that's how we feel about campaign stuff. We're gonna move on to the next question now from Emerald Plasma. I feel like this one is one that I will have to answer. Still any plans for No Light? Just like the last Q&A, which was quite a long time ago now. It's probably going to be a no. However,
however,
if you're interested, if you've ever played like the FE2 rehydrated maps, I have been contacted by one of the map makers regarding No Light and how development went. And I did share some models of how the map was going to be made, and so it seems like there's some interest in creating some interpretation of No Light there, or because it's basically the end of the Darkside trilogy. That's what it would have been, and so there's a lot of ways it could go, and I've discussed unique concepts with them which I've not really shared with anybody else before regarding the map. And that will be really exciting if we're able to realize that. It's completely unconditional. There's not necessarily going to be 100% guarantee that this would be made, but we do want to explore it a bit and see how this could come out as a community map, if anything. So we do want to add to the experience, and it's a great shout to the game from years ago, what people were hyped up for. It's very easy to say when No Light, and it's very valid, and we might be able to see something about it, but not in the capacity that I think folks would originally have envisioned it. It's still exciting though. I mean, cool, I can show around. You guys have had experience with that rehydrated team in some way, haven't you?
I originally founded it, so like.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, like I will also say that like I will also confirm that I went through the questions. There's like 400 plus of them, and I will say that the No Light question was probably, besides like the one where the highlights was like the most common one.
Yeah.
It was like, where's No Light, and I think like I went through a lot of them. So, but yeah, like I will say that like it's really cool seeing like rehydrated like come up, like when like TDT and I were like, oh lol, let's just remake some random maps, whatever, and just make them cooler. And then people started joining in and everything and wanted to do that too. And it's really cool how it kind of expanded into its whole own thing. I really like how it turned out. So
yeah, it's quite a project, and I joined in for a little bit before I gave up and handed my map off to Adley.
Yeah, it just gave up after like 1 week done.
Sure, let's go with that. But they did a job with finishing it, and that's awesome.
That's awesome. All right. Well, yeah, we love rehydrated content, and it's always cool when there's new waves coming out that breathe life into maps that are the identity of Floodscape 2, really. So it's great. Okay, we've got the next question from, I'm going to butcher the name, sorry, Sebas Coolest. They ask, will you be adding harder maps than Desert Ruins? And I think the star rating on that is 6.7, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe it's... Well, if you want to talk technically, star ratings go up to 6.9, right? And when you go up that star rating, it's like an exponential curve in the difficulty, really. That's how we want to envision Crazy Plus. And Desert Ruins, we can agree, is really hard. And so we want to make sure when we add a map with a difficulty that can be set higher than Desert Ruins, we want to make sure it's done right. And we can only really do that if we have a solid idea of what constitutes to this kind of like level of difficulty, because it's really pushing boundaries. And I know that harder difficulty maps tend to be scrutinized as to how they're rated. It's not so much the issue with lower difficulty maps. it could be easier to like say make a map designed for 1.5 for easy, and you can, push it either side without much worry. So, I mean, yes, we do want to add harder maps in Desert Ruins. We don't necessarily know the direct path forward for that, and I think that evolution is going to come naturally. With us having an established team, we get to discuss ideas more openly between us, and because of that, we not only have we would we probably find potential in answering this better, but we've already got so many ideas that we've agreed to do and shake up the game in a way that hasn't been done in years. So there are exciting times ahead, and that'll be part of it. I'm not sure if you guys have any input on seeing maps that have seemed appropriate for above 6.7.
I mean, like, I guess I can speak on this just a bit as like I've done the highlights, right? And like I think the most common thing that people ask me are like, "Oh, are you ever gonna highlight a map harder than Desert Ruins?" And like most of the time, the reason it stems from is really just because the map itself gets hindered by the difficulty rather than actually improving on it. And like it's very hard to make a map that's like very enjoyable at a very high level, right? Like especially for like I don't know, example like myself, like I'm not of course the best player, right? People always comment on that and say that I should get other people to do the highlights and everything, but I do think that like I still have a good like fundamental understanding of maps, and when you have the really difficult maps, it's really tough to be able to actually enjoy playing it. Like I don't want to feel like it's overwhelming to somebody to play, and it's just you're trying to take up the standard of the main game with this map, so it's like it's pretty hard to fit it into it. So like it kind of has to have the stars align with a certain map for it to really work, in my opinion. But it's just like time will like it will eventually be figured out, but there's just no time frame for it right now. So
yeah, I mean, maybe at some point, but yeah, there's a good balance that needs to be on it, rather than like putting difficulty over enjoyability. Because I mean, it depends person to person, but usually, like you said, it does hinder if it's too difficult to the point where it feels unfair.
Yeah, in the early days of Floodscape 2, like when we had map test, and people loved having lava that just went up in 0.3 seconds. It goes up like a million studs. See that you know what? That's the kind of difficulty we're looking for. No.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I know the next permanent now. Don't worry.
Does it start with an A?
Yeah. Ends with an A. It starts with an A, ends with an O, and maybe
if it isn't obvious, we are
oh.
playing about it. We're joking, but it's funny. So. Right.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows, yeah.
Everybody knows. Okay, man, we're gonna need to speed up these questions. It's okay.
Yeah, we still have like 100, so.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just so British. I have to be like really verbose, like, "Oh dear me, I do believe."
Oh dear me.
Oh dear.
Okay, so from AC Urchin, is there planned to be more lore-based maps? So this is kind of going to tie into FE2 campaign mode, so I'll just bring it back round to that. We want to be able to add cool little bits, or I suppose it's really Easter eggs for certain characters and what they're doing in the map, and having them interact on a level like that is cool. Again, there's a few examples in FE2 Rehydrated, which indicate good design of this. Is one of those maps out already? Was it part of the latest wave? It was I don't know how to say it without giving the information away, but it was to do with the guide and the control panel. But there's one example anyway, and I'm sure there's other maps that do that stuff too. I'd look around and see how people do it, because it's really cool. People giving life their own interpretation of these characters. It actually makes it more interesting seeing what people think. So, there we go. Next question. From Oofy the Big. How did you come with a Floodscape concept idea? Okay, 2011, I was playing a really silly free-modeled flood game. It was for Happy Home Robloxia, stacked like a skyscraper. I was like, oh, this isn't very fun. made my own, and then that was kind of how it started. And then obviously ideas come along, and from inspiration from other games, and you eventually just kind of end up with what you have now. And yeah, it was originally like the need or the desire to create something of my own that did something in a way that was better than what I had originally played. And as far as I'm concerned, I succeeded with that. So that's how it really started. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of situation where you come up with game ideas. Next question, from Lucid Zlin. Sorry if I butchered your name. Will there be Crazy Plus maps in the future? If so, which maps would be possibly added? It would be very easy to. It's what most people would love to hear. It's like, what maps are going to be added? I mean, we're always going to add things like Crazy Plus maps in the future. In fact, it's one of our main directives going forward, because it is one of the map pools with the least amount of official perm maps. We have a lot of community maps, of course we do, but we have been planning quite a lot behind the scenes on how maps are going to be presented, and so I'd say stay tuned for that, because it should greatly improve the quality of life with regards to how the game presents maps to you. Okay, next question is from Yeti. What would be one feature you'd want to see in the game, and why? And I don't think I'm necessarily the right person to ask about this, so let's ask you two. What would you, if you had like infinite time and all the knowledge in the world to create complex mechanics, what would you put in the game?
I mean, for me, I would actually. I mean, like for me, I guess it would be if I wanted to add like one mechanic. I guess like from the Forsaken collab, like I noticed a lot of issues with like onboarding new players and everything, and like I guess like like I guess mechanically, or like whatever mechanic. It's not really a mechanic, but it's more like a feature of the game. Is more like a tutorial, I guess, is kind of like what I was hoping for. And like I would love to have that at some point, because there's so many people that are brand new to the game, and they're kind of thrown headfirst into the maps without really any prior knowledge. And that's kind of what I hope for at some point. I really hope that we can eventually achieve that, but for now, it's just what I hope to do.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's a good question. It has to require a lot of thought. Like, how would it integrate into the game? How would we integrate it into the maps? Like, want to have it more of a seamless transition rather than when the agility update was implemented for the first time. Poison's Chasm, never forget.
Poison's Chasm, second slide, holy crap.
So there's a lot to be considered, and I'm honestly not sure at the moment if I would want to add a new mechanic.
I think I gotta corroborate with Kozak on this, in that like some tooltips or any kind of guidance for how a new player can interact with the game, that would probably be like one of the most important things to do. And I think doing it during the context of gameplay rather than shoving people in a separate tutorial environment would be a lot better, since the way the game plays is very straightforward with how you interact with like walls or zip lines or slides, and some of it's automated even. So we do already have a text prompt for when you're swimming in the water. That one is pretty important. So we've definitely talked about it. We will look to expand it in some way that provides context for new players, that is intuitive and contextual. Okay, next question from Yellow Bed Stemmer. Are you guys planning on making a tutorial for FE2? Oh, this is okay.
Well, I mean, we already just answered it, I guess. We just answered that, I guess. So.
There you go, Yellow. We've answered that one.
We answered
Not
that one
Alex RBLX 2010 says, are you going to be introducing a new highlight mechanic? If yes, how will it operate? Now, completely understandable. People are asking about highlights. They've been put off for a bit because we really needed to think about how to approach this. With any game that provides an infinite amount of content, being able to have a public space that diversifies the content you play, and also being able to have better access to those maps outside of that is really important. And this is something we do have in the works. It's not just in regards to highlights, but yeah, it's going to be a lot better. I do think it is, because we were originally going to bring the highlights back out to every 2 months we'd do it, and I think that's still part of how it's going to happen. But what's the life of the map going to be like after it's highlighted? How will we introduce it into the game? And where can people access this kind of content? And so, yeah, we're going to try with 2 months first off, just to see what happens with the community response, since it was pretty clear that 1 month was too quick for most folks. And I don't necessarily think it's due to how many maps were being put in the game at a time, but it was the fact that Crazy Plus maps are really tricky for most folks. And that's by design, of course. It's a hard difficulty, but you'd complete easy, normal, hard, insane, and a little bit more time on Crazy. I mean, Crazy Plus was really your challenge. And so, yeah, we're definitely going to add it in a way which sorts it, and we hope it's going to be better. We wouldn't want to reintroduce it if it wasn't going to be better. And thankfully, there's 3 brains in this space rather than 1, so we can come to a better consensus. Okay, next question from Good Guest 8641. What are your plans to make the hitbox better for some unreachable areas? Like End of the Line and Spider's Dungeon. Well, I would like Short Round to take this question because we have good news.
Those are possible now. Those should be fixed.
It's long overdue, thanks to me, but it's gonna be fixed. Yay!
Yeah, we're working on an adaptive system.
Yes.
So that should cover up all the bases and make sure that the hitbox is as accurate as possible in the different settings. And finding the edge cases and patching those up. So hopefully the experience should be much more enjoyable rather than not pressing the button on Spider Dungeon.
Yeah, I'd be happy to elaborate on that if possible. The dynamic hitboxes. So we had one hitbox, and we're now going to have it so we have specific hitboxes for certain states. So this allows us better control over what a player should or shouldn't collide with, depending on what they're doing, if they're sliding or swimming. Swimming has been a one that surprised us, but we do have some maps that really, really depend on precise swimming. So, yeah, not only that, I mean, look, it's going to be fixed. We've been so happy with it. It was one of the first things that we dealt with. And so, yeah, it'll be done in a way that should see every map to be fixed, apart from like some super niche edge cases on community maps. But our goal is to just make it so that every main game map works. Okay. My Arun says, do you plan on giving any large elements of the game an entire rework, for example, entirely different UI mechanics or even a new lobby? And I think really our efforts are best put towards making bugbears of the game, resolving them, and bringing up the quality of a lot of things that have needed it for a long time. I don't think our time would be best put towards completely new features. It's pretty evident in our development over the past week or so, mainly from like Short Round and Coolzack's side, that a lot of bug fixes are happening. A lot of things are getting cleaned up, and that's going to really, really make a solid foundation for giving us the room to breathe and think and plan more. We do still talk about ideas to put in, but once those are sorted, that's when we're really going to be able to ask ourselves the same question you're asking us, where is there anything worth iterating a new design on? And so that is something which will, I think, naturally come in the future if we find ourselves with more time. Next question we have BFDI. BFDI is awesome one. Why did you remove the FE2 main menu when it got added? So I didn't actually remember why it first got added. I was actually a conversation with Kozak and Short Range regarding it. I completely forgot. I thought that I initially put it in for like, oh, cool quality moment, right? No. I actually added it to stop bots on Roblox spamming like chat messages saying, "Oh well, look at me! I got 5 million Robux. Make sure to join this website." And so that was one way we stopped that. But yeah, I admit it had a charm to it. Like there's no denying that. And it was really cool making it feel like a more fully fledged game that would have probably exist outside of Roblox. But to me at the time, when that got removed, I was in the mindset of what can I do to reduce the burden of development as one guy, and that was one of them. And it's not that you want stuff to break in your game, but Roblox is a platform that moves fast, and you never really know what's going to change. And whilst they'd always want to strive for backwards compatibility, there's just too many variables that go on. And for me, it was also a method for allowing players to get into the lift quicker. Even pressing a secondary play button from the Roblox landing page is a barrier of friction, and we wanted to make sure that wasn't going to be there. And so, yeah, I respect the fact that people love it, or loved it when it was in, and I'm not going to deny that. So I miss it too, I think I'll say. Okay. Oh, we got a question from Donut W. Okay. Do you see much hope in small communities for FE2 in the future, like the shortcut community? Is there a chance that there'll be updates towards these smaller communities? And if so, what kind? Also, love the game. Been my number one for ages, bro. Thanks. So we did put a bit of a direction towards enabling other communities to play maps designed to take advantage of certain physics. Obviously, we're never always going to get it right, but it was like the unpatched update on FE2CM. That command there is a solid affirmation that we wanted to give a place for folks that play maps that rely on certain physics behaviors to have a place to play it. As for the main game stuff, it's hard to navigate how we can make this game appeal, like the main game appeal more to the casual audience. By casual audience, I mean folks who can't necessarily complete insane or crazy maps, but regularly play and enjoy it for that reason. Because the important thing is teamwork, and if we end up having these certain features in main game, it definitely does hinder the teamwork, and also it's just very hard to understand where to draw the line on that. So that's why we gave a dedicated space with the unpatched command in FE2CM, and I want to be able to maintain that, and we will definitely look into how that could be expanded going forward. But for now, our focus again is main game. But thank you for asking that. We got a question for both of you guys. It's from Yazan426. What's your favorite map?
Poisonous Chasm. I'll just say. Like every single map I made has always been based off of that map. I swear. I mean, it's just like how I originally started building a lot of maps, and I really like that map a lot. Like I just love the caves, how they're built, and I just kind of looked at that as like inspiration for myself, like going forward. And I absolutely love building caves now, and that's, as you can tell, with every single one I have, there's always a cave in the maps. So I always. Oh yeah, and then Firewatch. Yeah, of course, I love Firewatch. Yeah.
Firewatch. I love how you opened that map up for people to work on.
Oh yeah, of
That
course.
was a really good move.
I was just like, I can't be asked to finish it, so let someone else do it. Someone else can do it.
To be honest, the first map that comes to mind when I think of my favorite is probably Forsaken Era.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one.
That's a really good map in my eyes, and I especially love the track and Evolve made for it.
Yes, so many springs
just pair together so well. It's just so fun.
Forsaken Era is one that goes quite a while back now in terms of years, but I can understand why that holds a special place in your heart, for sure. Okay. Next question. I think this question is more targeted towards the development of the game. We're still in early stages with development, but I'm going to ask it anyway. From Jank Hungry, what was the hardest thing to work on after Crazyblox stepped down from development?
I mean, for me, it's just like, I guess it's just the workflow, like learning where everything is, I haven't really had to do very much like deep diving yet because mainly been focusing on like the maps and the content and such. But I haven't like I can't speak for Zach, but it is more so like yeah, like for me it hasn't been too difficult. I don't say like to get used to it, but it's just something that comes with time, and I think it'd be a lot better soon.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Workflow. Granted, there's a bit more in it for me because I'm still familiarizing myself with all the back end aspects of everything. And
yeah, bro, you got like 5 million if-else statements to fight with.
just familiarizing myself with the code base. That's pretty much just the hardest thing right now, but that'll come with time.
Yeah, and both of you guys have integrated yourself pretty well already, and it's great to see that. And as long as we're able to improve the tools that we have and how everything interacts with one another, we're going to be able to like make a really, really smooth development experience, and it's exciting. It really is. Okay, so let's see. Next question from Divergent Bin 1. Will there be any plans regarding the oversaturated state of the game? Absolutely. I've seen videos about the game have too much maps for players to handle. I take it you've seen Chris Sandler's video as well. Yeah, I mean we've mentioned that we want to address that, and we will have new systems in place that provide players with a means for enabling their preferences for maps over what the main game provides. This is something we said before in this Q&A. We want to make that happen, and it is one of the priorities that we have, because this is the main thing that to us feels like it's going to make or break the game. Because we love community content. It's helped give the game life. We just need to be able to handle it more responsibly, and I think you're going to be able to see the fruits of that labor in the coming months. From TextLot, we have FE2's evolved a lot for the past few years, maps, mechanics. Is there a scrapped feature or idea you wish made it into the game? I suppose this one is aimed towards me. I don't know. There's certain things I would have liked to put into it, but it's just I think ideas like that have always stayed in the back of my head, and I've eventually come to revisit for implementation at a later time. And most of it's down to just like appropriate skill level from learning scripting over the years. 2017 when the game first came out, it's a long time. It's 2025 now, and yeah, I can say for sure, especially since I worked on the new Timelines engine and stepping back to work on. If you guys haven't been aware, I've been working on my own 3D rendering engine. It's been a great experience to learn, and so maybe I could apply that knowledge going forward in the future to features that could come into the game. We'll see. Let's see. As your horizon, this is a question we can all answer. This is kind of like a what if scenario. Like, how would you like to see it? What do you plan for the future of FE2? Thinking about a year from now, how would you like the state of the game to be?
I guess I could start. I mean, for the content side of things, I love to have more like reasons to play other than just like, oh, I just play the game or whatever. Like, get your 10 maps in a day, right? I love to have like a more of a focus on like being able to do stuff, have more progression than there is right now, where it's just like, oh, get level up, whatever. I love for it to just you able to like come back and just like just play it, and you have some sort of progression, and it gives you like a reason to come back tomorrow, right? Makes you want to keep playing. And I would love to have like just more people that aren't usually from the obby side community start playing too. I love to be more inclusive that way. I really hope that the game can go in that direction at some point.
Yeah, I would say pretty much the same thing. Hold on.
Just a family guy, bro.
Someone's getting killed in the background.
Yeah.
I just say the same thing. I'll just cut it off there.
Maybe they were playing Desert Ruins.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, they're probably just raging right now.
Yeah.
We probably made it past the bridge or something and died.
Okay, Codex Promo asks, will we ever gain a larger lobby than just a singular room? Never say never, but we're not focusing on that yet. that's a pretty yes/no question for now. Thanks for asking it, though.
When we add extreme mode, you'll see some.
We had the extreme. I mean, I did want to make a note of a question earlier. I meant to say something earlier, but I completely forgot about the whole rework thing. It's something that it's not focused on right now, but for myself, I really would love to at least look into it at some point, just kind of clean up some things, not fully redo aspects of the game, but more so just I guess because I personally love UI. I love working with UI, and I think that it would be kind of fun to just look into that at some point. But right now, probably for the next year or so, it's probably not going to get touched. So
yeah, fair enough. It's a list of priorities, and we are going to work through it, and eventually we'll be more free to approach these kinds of things better. Next question. Night Yasumi. Hi there. For Crazy, why are you now going to be the director of Flowscape 2? Will the map streams happen again? I'd love to see you develop maps, especially know if you have to come back to it. Well, I think it would be fun to participate in streams regarding maps. In fact, I already have once from when Kozak hosted a map stream, and that was pretty fun. You guys sent in your maps and we gave it a play, and there's a lot of creative stuff, and it helps keep me in the loop as to what kind of content people are making, because obviously now I'm taking more of a chill approach to I guess you could say a chill mode approach to the game. So it's a great way to keep in touch with the community, and I definitely want to participate in more. I will leave it to Kozak to see if that could become a regularity in the future.
I mean, I'd love to do a map stream. I know, that's all I'm going to say. I'd love to do it.
So. Well, I'll chip in. I was just saying, yeah, I hope to do more kind of things that interact with the community, have these streams. I remember when you would stream Beneath the Ruins back then, and it was just, I enjoyed watching it, understanding how your workflow, how you worked through things, and I'd like to kind of bring that back a bit, I guess. What's that?
Boy. I'm gonna die on easy maps now because I don't play the game anymore.
Yeah, I mean, also I'd like to add saying that as Zach and I are also proficient, I guess you could say in big quotation marks at making together. We could also do streams together of the same thing that with Beneath the Ruins, right? It could be an actual official map, right? It could be an upcoming map, and that could bring hype around it. So, but yeah, look forward to that.
All right. Next question from Shroomy Mist. Do you plan on making general expansions on the achievement system? Nowadays, I think it's underutilized and could benefit from cool challenges. Well, I think the most immediate thing that would make sense with regards to the badges in the game, we recently fixed up the menu that displays everything. That will be provided in the next version whenever that gets released. But being able to have a way to apply that outside of just the UI in a way that other people can see it would be pretty cool. I mean, let's take direct inspiration from Super Bomb Survival. That game's had it for years, right? And I'd love to be able to apply it in a similar fashion. Maybe not necessarily as a super obvious thing, but just an icon. Polyhex is a great developer. I've always looked up to them, and I continue to do so with their platformer game that they're working on right now. So I think that's a pretty low commitment feature that can be put into the game, and I think we will eventually inevitably add it in. So I'd say that will come in the future. X Chronicles asks, will there ever be live events in FE2? And I think that's a good question, and I think we should liken it to how we had the collaboration with Forsaken. We'd love to continue doing collaborations with other games, and we find that it's a very healthy thing between one game and the next for brand recognition. And I mean, that's talking with a corporate hat on. Sorry, let me try again. It's just really fun for everybody to get involved in and see what crossover happens and what maps are going to be made from this. So it gives us a great way to create themed maps that wouldn't typically be explored via community maps, right? So that'd be really cool. I do want to make it happen. I want to keep looking into that kind of nature of stuff, and so yeah, it would be epic. Hyperbole asks, will Flowskate 2 introduce more complex mechanics? And I'm gonna instantly hazard, we don't want to add anything that would add more friction to the game just yet. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think like I would rather just keep the game like in, I guess, more of its current state with the mechanics. Like, I don't think that it really needs to be too fleshed out any further. Like, maybe at some point we can start looking into adding more stuff. Like, most of the stuff you can do is already like available in timelines, right? You don't need to do anything too crazy, and maybe we could add some more stuff to the map main kit that like could be automated rather than having to do timelines with it. But that's probably to the extent of it. I don't think like right now it's not really on my radar right now per se. I think like right now I think the agility mechanics are pretty good right now, and like if, with the timelines you can do pretty good. So that's kind of how what I think.
Yeah, I'd say something along the lines of that as well. I'd say just leave it as it is, but wouldn't throw out any other considerations in the future. Depends on how we're feeling later on.
Yeah. All right. Another question from Azu Dumpling 03. How do you plan on improving Flowskate 2's replayability in the future? Well, the first one has been to tackle the highlight system. That's been pretty big. So that's the first step we've been taking. The next step is finding ways that we can provide more unique experiences for the same map, because maps are quite linear in their design, and since they are linear, it's hard to create divergence with how a map is played. We do have, I mean, the most divergent thing about a map can be, aside from rescue missions, which makes you take a different path that makes the map more difficult, and lost pages and the easier maps, we do have variants. It's just we completely understand why map makers don't make much use of variants due to the increasing complexity of design, and so we do want to explore other ways how we can make maps more replayable. I mean, mirror mode was a very, very big endeavor on that front, and we want to be able to, if we can make it happen, we would love to make mirror mode happen for a possibility for all maps, regardless of how they're created, etc. So we're going to keep looking into that. This is an obvious win if we're able to get this done. So yeah, thanks for that question. Okie dokie. Wow. There are so many questions. It's from Crimzone. What are the future plans of FE2's physics and game mechanics? Well, I suppose we can bring that back round to the hitbox. We've been sorting that out pretty well. Again, the unpatched command in FE2 CM, for those that want to push the game a bit further than what the main game allows. And of course, we're gonna just keep striving for stability. We wouldn't want it's not just me that's releasing it. I've got the scrutiny of these two guys here. If anything worsens, they're gonna tell me off, right? So it's like
we gotta keep you in check.
Yeah.
We'll fly over to you and punch you.
Yeah. They get a ticket from overseas and come to Britain. But yes, we are going to definitely improve that. Alone ETH asks, will there be a new X frame for the cam where the cam can move while focusing on the part 2? So at the moment, the set camera X frame is pretty much in need of help, to put it lightly. Yeah. It's one of the only X frames where I wish I created differently, because the way that it works is hard for people to understand. It's hard for understanding when certain issues occur, and so I would love to be able to revisit that. If there's anything that's going to change about timelines, it would be that. And so I want to be able to improve it, make it easy to use, and less buggy. And that would be the next thing we do with timelines outside of what's already coming with the next update. Windy asks, will there be more collabs for FE2 in the future? Yes, we want to make that happen. We've answered this earlier, and I suppose it would just be the same answer here. Pepsi asks, new highlights, we're dying here. Sorry about that, I hope you get some help.
That's crazy.
Cosmicus asks, are there going to be more rewards progressing in most specific goals you want to do? We actually talked with one of our community members regarding progression, especially on Rebirth. And there will be tweaks regarding rewards, particularly with levels and XP. So look out for that next update. And you know what? Speaking of the community member, we've got Agar Slade. This is actually the person I spoke to about this. Will there be other ways to obtain shop items like grinding during events? Yeah, I mean, we want to provide multiple ways for you to get items. At the moment, we have 3 methods coming with the future update, and so you've got the shop, you've got like in the past it was coded items, and also you had the item packs, which directly support the development of the game and help avoid it from becoming pay to win, which is how a lot of games on Roblox are. And so yeah, we definitely want to keep looking into ways we can provide items differently. It's a great way to add different challenges and stuff to the game. Crab Cake. We've got a question from Crab Cake. So this question is similar to another one as well. Will FE2 have more characters involved in world building aspect of the game other than Crazyblox and Guide? Now, yeah, we do want to keep cool tidbits of lore within maps themselves. We don't necessarily have plans for the characters. I mean, we do have FE2 map skin cosmetics representing a personified version of maps. If I could imagine anything, it would go down that route. But there's not necessarily any strict plans for that.
Open to it though.
I
wouldn't mind looking into it though at some point.
Yeah, we'll probably discuss it. Ultimately, we'd want to look into if we're able to develop it in a way that is beneficial for time on our part and also for the community, as we've still currently got a fair few things we want to clean up. But again, never say never. Okay. Dasharinu asks, we're excited to see where you guys take the game next. Do you plan on adding story content to the game in the future? This is similar to one we've asked before. We love to communicate any kind of story or lore within maps themselves rather than a dedicated mode. So that would be where you'd want to look for that. I'm flicking through his questions now and making sure that we get some ones we can have everyone give input on. Here we go. Are there future plans for more agility-based content? Sliding and zip lines may have not been received the best, but I can't imagine a world without them nowadays. That was from Storm PCH44. You're right. They didn't get introduced super fluently.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure Ryan said chasm. That's where it that's where the most obvious examples from. So we don't necessarily want to put new mechanics in just yet. We still want to tidy up the game, and so that's something we'll be better equipped to answer in the future. At Magna24 Plays says, at some point will the original FE2 maps get updated? Coolzak, do you want to weigh in on that? Because I know you've been doing a bit of work on that.
Yeah, so I've been grinding. I've been on the grind. So basically, I've been looking at literally every old map that's in the game, and I've been trying to find any issues with them. So I guess I can give one example. Zach knows the map is Magmatic Mines. You know that one. Got the funny box where you touch it, instantly shoots you out the map. You're dead, right? You're done. So things like that. So and also shortcuts too. I've been really focusing on the massive shortcuts that you can skip major sections of the map. In some of these old maps, These shortcuts have been there for a while, and like I do think that it does hinder the map experience though for some people because it makes you be able to beat the map way easier than what's intended, right? And I think that like it should be. You should still be able to do like optimizations and like corner cuts and all that stuff, but like when you're skipping half the map, then like I don't think it's amazing. So those are going to be coming out I think in the next update. I think like that'll be like part of our big thing. But yeah, I have a big list of maps that I've been working on, and yeah, hope you guys look forward to that.
100%, 100%. The quality is going to be a lot better, and since there's quite a lot of maps that needed attention, I'm sure this will be quite noticeable for everyone. Okay. We have Undertane asking, what happened to the trophy system that's going to replace leaderboards? Now, for context, this is something which I previously mentioned I was going to add after leaderboards got removed from the game. And I think it's important to say why leaderboards got removed rather than answer regarding the trophy system. So the leaderboard system was quite fundamentally flawed, and I think in any competitive medium there's always going to be folks looking to try and get an edge over one another. And when what made the leaderboards go bye-bye was that we realized it wasn't just one person playing on a single account. It was a multitude of people sharing accounts that essentially meant that depending on where you lived and time zones, there was always going to be activity and earning XP and stuff like that. And that was quite a concern because it meant that it wasn't being legitimately played. And yeah, so there's some other safety reasons we took it down as well. But in regards to the trophy system, yeah, we need to make a planning point for this in the chat because this has been long expected, and it needs to be done in a way that doesn't promote this kind of behavior that means people need to create multiple accounts just to stay at the top of the leaderboard, or rather have multiple people playing on one account to stay at the top of the leaderboards, or resort to other like mischievous means. So we do want to make it happen, and in fact, Floodscape Hybrid is going to employ this kind of system that we want to do as well. So if you're interested in hybrid, look forward to that being there. So yeah, we're going to do it in a way that allows us to reward players without any like concern of getting cheated out of top spots. So look forward to that. Declipsed asks, will you guys make more of your own maps for FE2? This is one we can all answer. I think for me, I'm probably going to take the back seat for a bit whilst I work on my own hobbyist projects. What about you guys?
Yeah. Short answer, yes. Like, we still have a map idea, which is kind of funny. Like we've been looming on it for a while. It was funny because we were gonna work on it before we became dev. Like we literally got asked to be devs for FE2 like around the same time we were gonna start on it. So yeah, so we do have plans, especially as we can kind of juggle deving for this game and making maps. So I think it'd be really dope to do that. So
100%. It's another one of those things. If we've got the time and the desire and passion to do it, it could definitely come in the future. Okay. So we had agreed that we'd do 1 hour for the Q&A. It has been about 1 hour. How do you guys feel for time?
I think we do like maybe like 3 or 4 more questions. I think it should be good. Because I think we technically started the questions about like 50, maybe 45 minutes ago. So I say we can probably do 3 more questions.
3 more questions. Okay, I would say, because there's still quite a few to go through, we could definitely split this into 2 sessions. I don't want to leave these questions unanswered, and I think it would be really important
to really good too, so
address all of them. So we'll split this into multiple stages. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more questions for us, but note that we will finish the rest at another time after that. Okay, so a few more questions. From Shocking Saray, will there be more collaborations like with Forsaken? Of course, we do want to make that happen. I mentioned it before. And so it would be great for both games to do that in a way that provide free content for both games. Great crossover. It helps share the audiences, and on a platform like Roblox, where it becomes increasingly more competitive and also swamped by haha pets RNG give me money moment type games.
That's a good idea.
It's a great way to help.
Place the buddies with pets.
Yeah, and maybe we should add like FE2 loot boxes. It's like different guides. Yeah. Smash like if you want that.
Oh my gosh! You just box the polychrome guide.
When I type gambling into Google, it says, "Do you mean Pets Go?"
Yeah.
Anyway, next question from Cute Twimey. Will there ever be official Flood Sword UGCs? That's a good question. Explore the concept of UGC. I don't really understand what purpose it serves for the game outside of it, other than like wearing something that you like from a brand that you're passionate about, or like a series. I can see the value in that. I think it's something I am not really that well educated to speak on, but I think we would like to do it in the future.
I mean, something cool is like I know you can do like free limiteds. Something cool would be like that. We could have like a little event. I think that'd be kind of cool. So you can get like a cool item with it, because you can tie it in with badges. I'm pretty sure you can get it for doing that stuff. So I mean, like that's as far as I know. And then you can do like the free items like that, and people would love. Like imagine a flood sword UGC would be so cool. Like people would love that. So I think that'd be cool to look into at some point.
You're right. We don't want to lose that opportunity. I think it ties in with what Agar Slade asked earlier with other items. So there's clearly demand for that, and we'll definitely keep that in mind. So I think we'll make this the last question, because we could go into depth regarding this. All of us can, because we all have direct involvement on this. From Zero here with an X on the E. Where did the idea to make Rustic Jungle come from? So this is the first part of the question. That's something I'd put to you guys, and then what I would answer with after you guys are finished is what made you add the crazy plus difficulty in general. So go ahead, guys. Where did the idea come from?
The original idea, it was actually originally going to be an easy map, believe it or not. It was going to be actually completely different. Right, sorry, 1 second.
That's fine. What about you?
My throat. Yes, I mean, it's just going to be completely different pace. There's some aspects from the original idea we had that made it through, but we definitely changed it a lot from the original idea. And I was telling this idea to Zach, and he was like, "Oh, he wanted to join in," and we were just like, "Oh, let's just make it Crazy Plus."
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, because I don't know what we were doing. We were doing I don't remember what we were doing, but it was like back in like it was like February 2023 or something, and like we were just like, how about we just make a dumb map or something? And then that's because Zach was talking about it, and I was like, why don't we just work on it together? And I think that was cool. And then we were just like, yeah, and then we turned into that pile of trash. But anyways, yeah. I'm so sorry for that jump, by the way. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, by the way, it is fixed. In the next update, it'll be fixed. It was the first thing I fixed.
Yeah.
So
literally, the first time we got the team create instance set up, he was like, "So where's Rustic Jungle, Crazy?"
Oh yeah, no, that's the first thing I asked. I was like, "Where is Rustic Jungle? I'm fixing this right now." That's looking good. So
rest assured, that's one of the mini maps that has been fixed. So look forward to that. I suppose if I'll move on to the second part of the question, what was the idea to add Crazy Plus? Well, I mean, there seems to be this absolute carnal desire to just go ahead and pursue the hardest maps in any kind of game with community created content. You see it in Geometry Dash. That's a really big example where, despite that just being one input, it's like the way people create this stuff is crazy. And so, yeah, I think people in a community setting will always strive to. There will be always a group of people striving to go for the hardest difficulties, whether that be for challenging themselves, pushing themselves to like do this kind of thing, maybe as like a establishment of, hey, look, I can do this, and that's cool. I initially didn't want to add Crazy Plus to the game, but the demand for it was just it seemed strong enough that it was worth doing. And of course, they were working on Rustic Jungle at the time, both Zacks were, and so we made it a plan to debut the difficulty with that map and provide community map highlights, because it was in FE2 CM for a bit, the difficulty was. And so naturally, I'm glad it's been added, but it has certainly presented challenges on how we present maps in the game, especially in pro servers, because that's where it's at. And so one thing that's worth saying is we are going to be looking at how we can both provide Crazy Plus and Crazy Maps in a very balanced manner without compromising or giving either difficulty the lesser amount of time. It's really important to ensure they both get like absolute fair time. And again, with the systems that we're going to implement in the future, it won't be a necessity to go in pro servers or fight over Crazy or Crazy Plus difficulties. So I guess to segue that, we're definitely going to enable better access to maps and difficulties in general. So look forward to that. Wish I could share more, but you'll definitely understand when updates come out in the future.
Yeah, we got a lot planned. We're cooking.
Yeah. So many good things coming forward. Like that, you know what? I suppose I'd like to add a teaser to that, because I know in my heart this is something that I want the game to have. We're going to look into an adaptive lift system which allows the lift to pull maps from relative difficulties rather than just a singular difficulty. We know too well that it's jarring to go from like a 3.1 star rating map to a 4.9 star rating map. That's not a smooth transition at all. You could even argue that for 4.1 to 6.7, right? So it's worth putting a system like that in place so that everybody has a smoother experience and they're not going instantly out of their skill range. And I think that would make for a less frustrating experience overall. Yeah. So definitely going to put that in the game. Look forward to that.
It's a lot more like progressive as well. So like if you're naturally just going with the lift intensity increase, then it will it will like help you kind of ease yourself into the harder end of the difficulty as well.
100%. So. It just means that even for like those who are like super like noob to the game, no offense, it's just how it is. Yeah, if they're like stuck at low easy 1 difficulty, then you're not gonna be pushed all the way up to like 1.9 if your skill is that sensitive to changing, right? So we think it's gonna be good for the game, and it's just another one of the quality of life things we're looking to improve on. So I suppose that's really it. That's all we have to say for this session. Thanks again for joining, and thanks everyone for sending in all these like really high quality questions.
Yeah, the questions are really good. Like I when I was going through them, there's still like over like 100 and like 10 questions that were still really, really good. So really thankful for all the good questions. It's been really good. So
we will continue this at another point, since we still have like half of the set that we have remaining. We want to make sure that we answer all these properly. Stay tuned for an announcement regarding that. But I suppose, very, very optimistic about the future of the game. Very excited. I hope that the updates that come out with the game are exactly what the community has needed for a while. And so for that, look forward to it.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone for joining. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, boy. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.